Palm Harbor Museum is going to be a ceremony. They're going to unveil a historical marker that was put here by the state of Florida, this being the Thomas Hartley House. And so they asked for any descendants of Thomas and Ida Hartley to show up. So me and my first cousins and some of my second cousins have shown up for that. Anyway, this is Ralph Jones on the left and Helen, and then Bill Pulaski. That's Tom and Kate and Don. My second cousins, Donna and Deborah. Okay.
I'm back.
The old wells back there from the Hartley property.
Yes, I did.
That's Helen down there, Ralph Jones. This is one of my other second cousins on the right here. That's Jan.
And or video. They send out
this morning. Couldn't get any air conditioning out here, but at least we got a little bit of a breeze from Mother Nature. But I want to welcome you all to the unveiling of the historical marker for the Hartley House. And you know, these things don't just happen. They take a lot of work. And I have the pleasure of being chairman of not only the Board of County Commissioners, but also our Historic Preservation Board. And it's a very dedicated group of volunteers that come together typically once a month to talk about historical happenings and issues here in Pinellas County. And one of the things that board does is vote on historical markers. And the last one that we unveiled a few months back was at the Whispering Souls Cemetery, which was absolutely beautiful, beautiful ceremony. And it's just great to see all of you out here this morning. And I'd like to recognize a few folks in the audience today. My colleague, Commissioner Dave Eggers, who represents District 4, which is where Palm Harbor is. Also, we have some members of our Historic Preservation Board with us today. I'd like them to stand up. Joey Bars, here, Joey. All right. James Batchelor. All right, James. And Ramona Fletcher. All right, great. Thank you all for being here. You know, and also we have some descendants from the Hartleys here with us today as well. Bill Pulaski. Bill here?
Yeah.
Great. All right, thank you. And let's see, Helen Berry Kemp. All right, great. Thank you. It's great to have you here, and to think that this house at one point was scheduled for demolition when this road was going to be widened. I mean, it's so great that didn't happen, and here we are today to celebrate this unveiling of this historical marker. And we have so much to celebrate. You think about it. Pinellas County is 113 years old this year. Palm Harbor is 100 years old this year. The United States of America is 249 years old this year. So next year we're really going to have a lot to celebrate with 250. So thanks again for everybody coming out here today. And I know we've got a number of other speakers up that are going to come up, and I don't want to hog the time here. So now I would like to introduce Bob Fortner with the president of the Palm Harbor Society. So Bob, come on up.
All right, well,
welcome on behalf of the Palm Harbor Historical Society. We're delighted that you're here. It is quite an honor to be able to manage and be responsible and invite guests to the Hartley House, which we've been doing for 27 years. I realized this week that I was actually did the opening invocation for the ribbon cutting 27 years ago. So, you know, that means I'm pretty old. But it's an honor again also to welcome family members here. And several have been recognized, and Dr. Tom's going to be coming up here in just a little bit. And they've come from around the country to be here to celebrate this with us. And I want to acknowledge Greg and Deborah and Donna and Janice and Peggy, because one of the things that happened was when the family found out that this was going to be a museum, they started to bring some of the artifacts back. And especially love the vase, because we've got a picture of that at the Hartley's 50th anniversary. And to be able to point out that that's been here in the museum for 100 years, in the Hartley House, I should say, for 100 years. So it really helps us tell the story. And quite a story it is. I mean, I'm sure some of you were here when they were building some of the bricks. And so if you look at this building and realize that every one of these bricks was built here on site. And the thing about it is we have to really honor Miss Ida for not divorcing Thomas for taking 4 years to build her house, or 5 years. So, but you know, we couldn't do this without a lot of volunteers. And when I think about the 27 years of volunteers and different board members who have stood in this position, and the board members that are here now, I'm not going to call you all out, but would you just stand, the board members that are here? And also volunteers. We have a lot of active volunteers. Would you just stand, volunteers? Let's, you can always stand. Of course, some of them are already standing because they're working. And you know, a lot of hours have gone into caring not only for the house, but also for these grounds. This is 4.5 acres, and if you look around and see how beautifully it's taken care of, it's because we have a wonderful garden team. And I know that she really will probably shoot me for this later for acknowledging her, but we have to admit that we owe a lot to Terry Fortner. She's pretty much been involved in this for the whole 27 years. I think she took a 1-year sabbatical, but then she came back. So again, to our board and our members, because it takes membership. If you're not a member, hint, hint, we have membership forms over there. It takes board members, volunteers, and members. And of course, we couldn't do this without the partnership with Pinellas County. So we just really do want to acknowledge that. And Nancy McKibben has been you know, I could tell when she sees the phone number and it's me, she goes, "Oh God, here we go again." So, and you'll be getting those calls yourself, yes. And the family, as I mentioned, but last but not least, we want to acknowledge and give thanks to our Creator, because Judge Hartley would have it no other way. So we join me in a prayer, please, invocation. And as we take a nice deep breath, we just let our hearts fill with gratitude for this beautiful day, for this breeze, for all the people gathered here, for the history. God has brought many people through the doors at the Hartley House to learn about the rich history of the Palm Harbor area. And so in order to preserve the past and protect the future, we know those that care must be present. And those that are present know and feel your presence, sweet Lord. We feel it here today, and we pledge not only to continue with the heritage of this wonderful building and Palm Harbor history, but the heritage of reminding people that we are all children of God. And for this we are grateful, and we pray in the name of everything that is holy and sacred. Amen. And now I'd like to introduce Dr. Tom Pulaski.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, cousins. On behalf of the Hartley family, I want to thank the government of Pinellas County and the Palm Harbor Historical Society for their ongoing efforts to preserve and to present the history of the Palm Harbor area. Today, we are celebrating the dedication of a historical marker that calls attention to that history and to our family's part in it. Now, as kids, my twin brother Don and I really obsessed about historical markers. We really did. We obsessed about a lot of odd things, and that was one of them. So when we were passing by these kind of historical markers on our family vacations, driving somewhere far away usually, when we saw one ahead, and we were really good at spotting them from miles ahead on the highway, we would advocate most strongly with my dad to stop and read carefully the historical markers. Surprisingly often he would do that, maybe because he just needed a break from getting annoyed by us, but for whatever reason, stopping and reading those things made travel days a little longer, but we learned an awful lot about local histories and their connection to the history that we were learning in school. Now, if you had told us that one day there would be a historical marker in front of our great-grandfather Thomas and great-grandmother Ida's house, we would have thought that was really interesting and exciting. It would be really cool because we knew that the house was cool. And if you don't, well, not cool climactically, but cool in a kind of a more colloquial sense. But we knew that there were all those interesting stories that we've already heard a little bit about that house. So we knew the house was cool. It certainly didn't look like all the other houses around, for good or for ill, actually. But historical was a higher mark, really. It's like, what about that could be historical? Well, that's a good question. So the world has now moved on another, half century since we were obsessed by these things. And now this house that we thought was just an interesting, odd house, well, it's now not part of a rural landscape anymore. It's an artifact at a major intersection. And it's an artifact of a now more and more distant past where the roads were shell or dirt and everything around was orange groves, maybe some scrub. Most folks farmed or fished. One in particular made ladders, which was, again, a different thing. And electricity was a possibility for someday. And as we know today, air conditioning was but a dream. And so the Hartley house along the way became historical. And in fact, it became an historical museum. As descendants of Thomas and Ida Hartley, we realize how incredibly lucky we are to have this happen to our ancestral home and to have a bit of our family history displayed for the thousands of folks who go zinging by on Curlew and Belcher roads every day. Who knows? Maybe in one of those cars, there's some very inquisitive kids who are going to force their parents to pull off and read the sign, and then maybe take a look around and see what things were like. We reiterate our thanks to the local government for seizing the opportunity to acquire the Hartley House over 25 years ago, and to the Historical Society for accepting the unique challenge of creating what is now a beautiful space from our ancestors' large, drafty, and unfinished project. If you want to know more about the house and the family this morning, be advised that the Hartley descendants are good storytellers and will be happy to talk with you after the unveiling. Thank you for being here. And now I will introduce Quentin Spiaggi, who is the crack research associate for the Palm Harbor Historical Society.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the history of the Hartleys here. So Thomas W. Hartley was born on May 13th, 1867 in Gilman, Illinois, 90 miles south of Chicago. In the 1880s, when he was a teenager, his family moved to this area and settled on this property. In 1893, Thomas was elected Justice of the Peace in Hillsborough County, 4th District. He served in that position for 11 years and thereafter was known as Judge Hartley. A few years later, in 1899, 32-year-old Thomas married 28-year-old Ida Stanton of Madison County, Florida, after meeting her at Sylvan Abbey Church while Ida was visiting her sister in Safety Harbor. Thomas was a member of the Young People's Society of Christian Endeavor and the Curlew chapter of the Epworth League, and Ida was a member of the Women's Missionary Society of the Methodist Church in Palm Harbor in her later years. Thomas was also a Methodist lay minister, ordained in 1890, and when the Florida Methodist Conference was looking to move its college from Leesburg in 1901, he encouraged the conference to choose Sutherland as their new location. The family was known for their generosity, even during hard times. Thomas donated $15 to the college in 1903 to help the construction of an administration building. When Pinellas County split from Hillsborough in 1912, a mail route was created through the Rural Free Delivery Service, and Thomas became its first mail carrier. By 1913, the Hartleys, who had 4 children by this time, decided growing citrus just wasn't for them anymore, and Thomas started his ladder building empire right where we are standing right now. Ladders were made of cypress and heart of pine, and they were sold to both the local citrus industry and internationally. A year later, in 1914, construction began on the house behind me. The Hartleys lived on this property in a cabin that was built in 1886 while building their new house with the help of friends and a local architect. The house was finally finished in 1919, though the upstairs remained incomplete due to lack of funds. The Hartley children and grandchildren attended school locally in Pinellas. Like many pioneer families, they grew food in gardens, drank water from a well, and kept bees. As Bill Pulaski once put it, it was a hard life for most people. While Sutherland and Ozona received electricity in 1913 and other parts of Curlew in 1927, the Hartleys could not afford it until 1947, and a year after Thomas retired from the ladder business at 78 years old. The Pulaski household over there didn't receive it until 1949, the same year that Thomas and Ida celebrated 50 years of marriage. Ida died in 1952 and Thomas died in 1955, but they left this house as part of their legacy, and that's why we as a community are forever grateful to the Hartley family. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Quentin, for that great history lesson. And by the way, I don't think it's odd at all to obsess over historical markers. I do it all the time. Whether I'm in Pinellas County and I see one, or if I'm traveling around in another state, if I see one, I have to stop and read it. It drives my wife crazy. So also, before I invite everybody over to the marker for the official unveiling, I did want to recognize some county staff. There's a lot of staff here. I apologize, I won't get to all of you, but this, like I said earlier, this just doesn't happen. And I want to recognize Tom Schofield and Nancy McKibben, who will be retiring here at the end of July, and we certainly wish her all the best. All right, so now I would like to invite you all just across the way over here for the official unveiling.
Excellent. Nice photograph. Historical Marker Society.
Just get up there.
What's the actual goal? Thank you for your active faith. All right. Should we move them up here to the front?
2, 1.
There we go. Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. That's awesome. And boy, it's black metal.
It's black metal.
Means it's hot. I want them dollars. Yeah, thank you.
That's right. Okay, here. Okay. Watch out. Oh. All right, okay. Beautiful.
Helen's, Deborah and Ralph are walking Helen over to the museum. And Don is headed over there as well.